Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us on News on the Hour from CoreTV News Lagos. My name is Christian Ogodo. A federal high court has adjourned ruling on Raymond Dokbesi's bail application till December 14th. The trial judge, Justice Gabriel Kolawole, ordered him to be remanded in the EFCC custody. You recall that Chief Dokbesi was arraigned on the 6-count charge of receiving 2.1 billion naira from the Office of the National Security Advisor for media coverage in the 2015 general elections, contrary to Section 58, subsection 4C of the Public Procurement Act. We'll be bringing you details of the court proceedings today. And still on court matters, the Court of Appeal sitting in Ilorin has upheld the election of the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, as a lawmaker representing Kwara Central Senatorial District. Senate President Bukola Saraki confirmed the victory via his Facebook account, thanking all and sundry for their support and prayers, reinstating his commitment for his successful sessions at the 8th Assembly. The court dismissed the appeal filed by Abdul Rahman Abdul Rasak of the People's Democratic Party, challenging Bukola Saraki's victory at the March 20th polls. And President Muhammadu Buhari has sought the support of the Parliament in the fight against insecurity and corruption. He made the appeal at a dinner he held with members of the House of Representatives at the presidential villa. Abiola Oluwole has more on that report.
The meeting comes 2 weeks after President Buhari hosted senators across party lines in a move to rally support of the legislature. Addressing House of Representatives members, the president read out the government's plan to revamp the economy as well as motivate the military in the war against insurgency in accordance with its electioneering promises.
Let us make up our mind that whatever we are doing for this country, and that we get this priority correct. Let us secure the country first, and let us efficiently manage it. That's why I was up and down to Niger, to Chad, to Cameroon, to Benin, to Germany, to meet leaders of G7. And on invitation, I went to United States, went to South Africa twice. All I am doing is trying to meet the international community leadership to put forward our case in Nigeria, which is very known.
For his part, Speaker Yakubu Dogara promised the support of the House to the President, irrespective of party affiliation.
Mr. President today emphasized the fact that he would love to have wonderful cooperation from the National Assembly to enable him succeed in his war against corruption, in his war against insurgency, and so many other sundry criminal activities, including kidnapping, that are becoming a serious challenge to our citizens and to our development as a nation. So we are happy that this signals a new spirit of cooperation between the legislature and the executive, and hopefully, building on this, we'll be able to deliver on the promise of change.
The meeting later went into a closed-door session from the presidential villa in Abuja. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
The federal government is seeking the support of Islamic clerics in an effort to de-radicalize youths who have embraced religious extremism. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this at a one-day seminar with religious leaders organized by the National Orientation Agency in Abuja. He reaffirmed government's commitment to defeating Boko Haram, but notes that the inputs of religious leaders are needed for a successful war against the insurgency. And despite coming under a lot of brickbats from the public over its desire to stifle the press, the Senate is in support of the total removal of subsidy on petroleum products. In their contributions, while considering the medium-term economic framework for 2016 to 2018, the senators also asked for a review of the benchmark price for oil sales predicated on the 2016 budget at $38 per barrel.
Bill. Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu was first to speak on the MTEF when it came up for consideration on Wednesday. He was among those who stressed the need for the executive to ensure prompt presentation of all important documents, which they say will rub off on the appropriation bill proper. The issue of fuel subsidy was not left out, especially against the backdrop of a new World Bank report.
What we have witnessed over the past few years is that the executive will wait until the end of the year, usually in December, and then foist us with a situation of helplessness in very important legislation such as the appropriation bill. And this is not good for us as a country, because it is the business of the executive under Section 81 of the Constitution to present the draft appropriation bill before the National Assembly, and then it is our business to consider it. And there's no way we can consider the bill unless and until it is presented to us.
We must take a position on first order on the basis of the fact that, Mr. President, it is time for Nigerians and for Nigeria to know the position of the National Assembly. We've all come to terms with the fact that the issue of subsidy is not sustainable. So I believe, as a caucus and as a people who represent the collective interests of Nigerians, we must understand the basic reasoning that from Akwa Ibom State, we've been buying fuel at about 195 naira per liter, all the way to Bayelsa, Sokoto, Borno. So where lies the interest of Nigerians as regards the benefit of subsidy?
Although there is about 150 billion contained in this document for 2015, there is no provision at all for help subsidy in 2016. Is this to mean that tacitly fuel subsidy is going to be withdrawn? These are the things that going forward, as we engage with the executive, we need to properly establish.
Others say deregulation and oil price benchmark reduction are key. Even Senator Ahmed Lawan could not resist a chance to comment. This is the first time he will be speaking in the Senate since he lost his bid for the Senate presidency.
If the President of the Federal Republic has solicited for understanding that we should go ahead and pass 38 budget as a benchmark for this year, for this medium-term expenditure framework, what are the indices that suggest to all of us here seated that the price of oil will continue to increase or decrease in the future? Or fall below $38 per barrel. I will believe for now, we leave it at 38 as proposed by the President. But allow the committee to go back and do a thorough job and advise us accordingly.
I don't believe in names, I believe in actions. I believe that there is need to ensure that there is no overpricing, and this is a task that the Federal Ministry of Finance needs to do.
The Committees on Finance and Appropriation has been mandated to carry out further investigative action on the MTEF. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And still with the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it has confirmed the acting executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Babatunde Fowler, as its substantive chairman. The confirmation by the Senate is coming on the heels of Nigeria's 2016 budgetary expenditure profile for the year 2016, where Nigeria's chief tax master and its agency are expected to generate over 3 trillion naira to the coffers of the federal government for its 2016 spending. Fowler is reputed to have raised the revenue profile of Lagos State from 10 billion naira to over 25 billion naira monthly, while he was the chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service under former Governor Babatunde Fowler.
People should not be put to work when they have not been cleared by this Senate. Also, even in his acting capacity, the Act stipulates a particular time wherein he will stay at his work. What do we add the period he had worked earlier onto? I am suggesting, Mr. President, that it is noted, like it was in the case of the NCC, that government should always seek clearance and get before putting people into work.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Williams Babatunde Fowler for appointment as Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Board? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Williams Babatunde Fowler is hereby confirmed as Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Board. Distinguished colleagues, on behalf of all of us, I want to congratulate Dr. Williams Babatunde Fowler on his appointment as the Executive Chairman of FIRS.
We're still staying with the National Assembly, where the leader of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has dismissed calls for the privatization of refineries in Nigeria. Responding to a motion seeking a halt to the operations of the refineries due to heavy debt, the House leader believes that it is proper to first find out what went wrong and how to fix the problems. And it may not be time for chest thumping, as the Czar of Nigeria's anti-corruption war, due to the enormous task ahead of the fight against corruption, says the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, says the anti-corruption agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, will, apart from using new anti-fraud techniques, will co-opt Nigerians in the fight ahead. Speaking during a march to mark the 2015 International Anti-Corruption Day in Abuja, the EFCC strongman says his agency will fight corruption headlong.
We want everybody to know, because this is a fight that must be done holistic. Everybody must be involved. That's the sensitization. Let us people realize the evils in corruption.
Now, I saw the team written on the placards and all that. We should try to break the corruption circle.
Yes.
One problem I've identified personally is that when it comes to issues of fighting corruption, we tend to have this problem when it affects the so-called bigwigs. How will you do that to fight corruption irrespective of who is involved?
I beg, let's do the procession first. That should be a question for another day.
We'll take a break now for some commercial messages, and when we return, Governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole, wants those who've committed fraud to be prosecuted thoroughly. Stay
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, child looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. They don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria,
where you are the judge.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
You should be careful about what you say.
I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it is time to forgive me.
Please for Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
You're welcome back. And Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole has thrown his weight behind the prosecution of those involved in the alleged arms deal scandal. In a chat with State House correspondents in Abuja, Oshiomhole decries what he calls chain of conspiracy by the former administration to defraud Nigerians. He urges the federal government to ensure diligent prosecution of anybody found wanting in the arms deal. The Edo State Governor also enjoins political office holders to consider cutting costs rather than slash the minimum wage.
The numbers are in billions.
Dasuki is only one bleeding point. There were several bleeding points in the system. You've looked at the number they call the total expenditure on subsidy, which the World Bank has released figures now about how many trillions of naira over the past 4 or 5 years. No, I think with all due respect to my brother governors, they missed the point. First is that it is offensive to talk about minimum. How can the food of the stewards be the reason why the elders have not to eat?
And also lending their voices to the war against corruption, members of the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, has joined in the campaign to pursue to its logical conclusion the war against corruption in the country. Chairman of the NBA Anti-Corruption Commission, Titus Osanakbo, says the NBA will partner other anti-graft agencies in the fight against corruption. He also states that the anti-graft institutions will be better off if their operations are collaborative.
We have anti-corruption agencies. With what we have, what I think is best at this point in time is to ensure that there is proper synergy, proper cooperation, so to ensure that they all do their bits to ensure that the society is better for it. But from a long perspective, obviously there have been instances where there seem to be some overlap in terms of functions or in terms of objective. It may be best in the circumstance to set up a committee that will look at those things very clearly and take an informed position that will assist the government whether to merge or not to emerge, or possibly even creating a new institution that should address all issues related to corruption as one bus stop for issues dealing with corruption.
Baka Girls Group has enjoined the judiciary to commit itself to the anti-corruption crusade of President Muhammadu Buhari. This, it says, is because it's the only hope of achieving a corruption-free society. And members of the group made their position known in the course of a protest march to the Supreme Court on the occasion of the International Anti-Corruption Day. Olajumoke Olatunji has details. And we'll bring you more on that report later. The federal government is to strengthen its anti-corruption drive with laws to protect whistleblowers and others involved in investigating corrupt persons. Attorney General of the Federation and Justice Minister Abubakar Malami made this known at the observance of the International Anti-Corruption Day in Abuja. Kazim Kasali has more in this report, and it's presented from our studios.
This was the formal event put together by the Interagency Task Team Against Corruption, a joint body of government agencies saddled with the task of fighting corruption in the country. It also provided a platform for the Attorney General to give an insight into some of the steps the government is considering to strengthen the anti-corruption war. He spoke about new laws that will ensure that the people who give information on corrupt practices and corrupt individuals are protected from persecution. For the anti-graft agencies, the occasion served as an affirmation of their commitment to the war on graft and a presentation of scorecard.
The EFCC investigated over 2,000 cases, out of which 280 cases were filed in court, and this does not include the one we filed this week.
Notwithstanding the numerous external challenges, beginning below are some of the few accomplishments of the Commission as a mark of stewardship in the bid to rid Nigeria of all forms of corruption. The Commission has intervened in the transport sector. The Anti-Corruption Initiative was launched by ICPC in collaboration with the then Federal Ministry of Aviation.
Support also came from development partners, including the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and the United States Mission in Nigeria.
I call for united efforts to deliver a clear message around the world
that family rejects corruption and embraces instead the principles of transparency, accountability, and good governance.
We call on everyone to help end corruption and come together for global fairness and equity. The world and its people can no longer afford nor tolerate corruption. The United States stands willing, ready, and able to partner with Nigeria in its anti-corruption fight.
This 2015 edition of the International Anti-Corruption Day is the 12th since the United Nations set aside December 9 every year for its observance in 2003. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The International Anti-Corruption Day has held all over the world, and here in Nigeria, an anti-corruption civil society group is stepping up a campaign to rid the country of corrupt tendencies and support for the President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign. Our correspondent, Sarah Yeku, has details.
Corruption, the ever-present cancer that clogs the wheel of growth in Nigeria and most African countries, is a massive drawback for development. In the bid to curb this malignant infestation, the federal government established two prominent anti-graft agencies, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. But years down the lane, a non-governmental organization called Citizens Anti-Corruption Volunteer Corps believes that the two watchdogs have not been able to wrestle this menace, corruption.
It's the greatest we have in the third world. It's about corrupt leaders and corruptive proclivities. It is not necessarily about the diet of wealth and resources. It is about leadership that is uncaring. It's about leadership that is not committed to making lives better for the people. And that is why the United Nations came up with this day. And I believe that anti-graft agencies can do the work, but what is necessary is the body language of leadership. Leadership must show that it is committed to fighting corruption. And then the anti-graft agencies, the police, the FCC, and the likes will dispassionately fight corruption along with leadership.
Also speaking at the campaign, the convener appraised 4 states in the country as being transparent and accountable to the people. He however challenges other states to emulate these states.
At this juncture, we wish to officially congratulate governments of Rivers State, Ebonyi State, Kaduna State, and Lagos State for successfully ranking high as governments whose majority of the citizens interviewed acknowledge visible transparency and accountability in management and administration of public funds. CSCVC would like to appeal to the state governments in Nigeria that could not top the chart in the transparency and accountability assessment to always remember that the government account is not a personal thing and should be made public.
On the other hand, the Commandant General of the Citizens Anti-Corruption Volunteer Corps talks about the vision and mission of the group to Nigerians.
We're not celebrating, rather we are launching what we call assault. You know, we are launching, this is war. It is a fight, and it's a fight to finish. You are an anti-corruptionist. I am an anti-corruptionist. I am a crusader. I'm a trainer. Today, we have launched a project to go about town training anti-corruption agents to make ambassadors.
As the world marks the International Anti-Corruption Day, the onus lies on Nigerians to be individual anti-corruption agencies in order to forestall this cancer that has beaten into the fabrics of the country. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And the Nigerian Legion has decorated the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, and his key officials with the emblem for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2016 celebration. The brief ceremony also afforded the minister the opportunity to urge Nigerians to show more support for war veterans and families of fallen heroes. Olajumoke Olatunji has more on that story.
The 2016 emblem for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, launched by President Muhammadu Buhari, has also found its way to the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. The minister and all the top officials of the ministry were decorated by the leader of the Nigerian Legion.
The significance of this period, that is to remember our fallen heroes, our colleagues who paid the supreme price, gave their yesterday for our today, and encourage Nigerians to wear the emblem with pride. It is a two-faceted thing. One, to remember the heroes. Two, to mobilize resources to support the dependents they left behind.
Responding, Babatunde Fashola encourages Nigerians to wear the emblem with pride. He wants them to not only remember the fallen heroes, but also see it as a means of mobilizing resources for their families.
And nothing can be too little in order to honor the memory of those who have been called upon to redeem that ultimate pledge in order to sacrifice their lives for the development and the safety, not only of Nigeria, but of you and I who are here. We will just urge that the advocacy be intensified, because this is something that retails down in other countries beyond officiality.
The ministers and other heads of the ministry are delighted at the honor, which they say is a replica of what is obtainable in other parts of the world. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abuja.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, legendary world boxing champion Muhammad Ali criticizes Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. Stay with us.
The man on the streets, I've come to realize that the power to make decision lies in the hands of the people. I don't think the election.
5 local government out of the 30 local government is more than many states in the north. The economy is booming. Where is the economy booming?
Blast in Abuja.
Don't you have security?
Why are we fighting? The country should not just sit in Abuja or in Asokoro or wherever it is. Sellers are supposed to go around. They know them cannot be there and be here at the same time.
Life of the citizens, community need to be protected.
It can't work out.
Bring the message of peace. Let there be proper devolution of power from the center. The center is too powerful.
It's time to do the best. But people are hasting. Why are you hasting? Why are you hasting? Why are you hasting? Why is it called you come?
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. And boxing legend Muhammad Ali has criticized U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's proposal to ban Muslims from entering America. Ali says that Muslims have to stand up to those who use Islam to advance their own personal agenda. The three-time world heavyweight champion, 73, is a cultural icon and one of the world's most famous Muslims. However, Mr. Trump says he will never leave the race despite widespread criticism. And meanwhile, the White House had said that his comments about Muslims disqualified him from running for the presidency. Saudi-led forces battling Houthi fighters in Yemen have taken control of the Hanish Islands in the Red Sea, coalition forces say. The group of islands was used by the Houthis to store and smuggle weapons into Yemen. Reports say the coalition said its forces cleansed Greater Hanish, the biggest island in the archipelago in the Red Sea's main shipping lanes. The coalition has been trying to dislodge the Houthis and forces loyal to their ally, former Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh, from areas captured since September, and to restore President Abd Rabiu Mansour Hadi to power. Sydney police has arrested a 15 and a 20-year-old in a counter-terror operation. They have been charged with conspiracy to conduct an act in preparation for a terrorist act. Federal police says the arrests are linked to a plot outlined in materials since last year as part of Operation Applebuy. The operation in September 2014 was sparked by intelligence reports that Islamist extremists were planning random killings in Australia. And the High Court in the Indian city of Mumbai has overturned Bollywood star Salman Khan's conviction for a 2002 hit-and-run case. In May, a lower court convicted him of culpable homicide and sentenced him to 5 years in jail for driving over and killing a man sleeping on a pavement. But the appeals judge ruled there was not enough evidence. Khan is one of Bollywood's biggest stars, appearing in more than 80 Hindi films. The verdict is the latest twist in a case that began 13 years ago when Khan's Toyota Land Cruiser car wheeled off the road, killing one man and seriously injuring 4 others. And now some sports story. The Minister of Youth and Sport, Solomon Dalong, has congratulated the Dream Team for picking a ticket to play in the men's football finals at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Dream Team yesterday secured their ticket to fly Nigeria's flag at the Summer Games, following a nail-biting 1-0 win against host Senegal at the Leopold Sédar Senghor Stadium in Dakar. Solomon assured that team of all necessary support in their preparations for the Rio Games, adding that the government will leave no stone unturned to ensure a successful outing for the team at the greatest sporting showpiece in the world. And finally, for Nigerian sports to thrive, all concerted efforts must be put in place to rejuvenate sporting activities in all spheres of the nation's life. This submission is made by the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Al-Hassan Yakmut, is coming on the heels of a grassroots sports seminar where he harped on redeveloping grassroots sports to be on the world map of sports. Amina Nebi has more of this report presented from our studios. Well, I've just been told that that report would be coming up in our subsequent bulletin, and that's all we have for you for the news on the hour at 4 p.m. Do join us at 7 p.m. when we bring you the reporters. Thanks for watching. My name is Christian.